Cool. So I think now y'all can hear me. I goofed. Hi, Adam. Hello. I am glad that you have shown up. Well, let me add this screen to. Wait, actually, I don't want to show it yet. Is the banner still up? Probably. Banner is definitely still up. There we go. I have exciting things for today, namely in that Carhaj. What is Carhaj? I know about Bedhaj. I'm assuming that's just like the normal size Bahaj. Okay. So people are probably still joining. I have terrible internet connection. Fantastic. Just in time. We were doing so good this week. Hopefully it doesn't cut out, but I want to give people some time to show up. In the meantime, though, let's summarize what we did in the last two. Carhaj is a small Hajj that lives in my car. Bedhaj is a Hajj that lives in my bed. Smart. I don't have a Carhaj yet. Clearly, I need to amend that. Right. So for those who haven't joined for the last two sessions that I've done, we are finally on the final part 3, of designing and building an accessible website. And for those who are new, of course, I want these workshops to be as much for me as they are for you. So I encourage everybody to give me feedback, give me ideas, correct me, and whatnot, so that way we're all learning together and get something out of these streams. Now, I have a wonderful surprise, being that yesterday I was learning how to use Figma. We had some design, but I took a break and then had another hour and a half and knocked out this awesome design. I'm so, so, so proud of it. Because now I'm like, people want to buy ice cream from this. Look at this. Look at this. It's so pretty now. Minus the double header because I was fiddling with organization and bolds or not. But yeah, so now we have a nice, pretty website. We don't have any sponsors yet. This is the organizer page. Super cool. And then I didn't finish the footer because I was lazy. But considering where we came from, which was this one, I think we had a lot of improvement in the time frame between then and now. So for those who are wondering about my design process, we had 5 colors to pick from down here on the right, and I said, cool, I'm going to look at all the different combinations and then cross out what I don't like, what isn't high enough contrast, whittle it down, and that was this section. This is what was left. Realized I actually really hated having this yellow as like a main body color, but it works fantastic as a header. So cross those out, ended up with just these 3, was like, all right, let me pull these 3 into a new page. Because let's see what we can do with that. So ported the framework that we made over here, and then started playing around with what we had. So now we have our accent color / subcolor, which is the yellow. We have our main colors here, these 3 of them that I was like, what am I going to do with it? And then I was like, you know what always works? Gradients. So I reordered them, figured out how to do a gradient in Figma, and voila, we are here. So I have these 3 instances because they're actually 3 different fonts. We had some questions on stream yesterday about how do we choose an accessible font? What does it mean to be an accessible font? So while I was setting all this up, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say, okay, search engine of choice, because that means that my local IoT device will go off, and that's not what I want to happen. But I did go ahead and go Google that, and I pulled up some interesting stuff. So let me go make sure I have those tabs that I wanted to share with everybody. Yeah, so pretty much what I did was I Googled accessible fonts, and they pretty much said Tahoma, Calibri, Helvetica, Arial, Verdana, and Times New Roman are the most commonly accessible fonts. And the reason for that is because they distinguish letters, sizes, and they make sure that there's proper spacing. I personally love Helvetica. However, Helvetica was not available on Figma, and when I was trying to like go download it to put it into Figma, it cost like $30 or $40, and I was like, nope. No. So the fonts that I actually have here are Tahoma, Verdana, and Times New Roman. So we have a mix of serifs and non-serifs, mostly serifs just because those are distinct enough. Times New Roman is overdone for me, so it's usually not my first choice, but I kept it in there because we often have to write in Times New Roman, at least here in the US. I also Googled some like accessible design documents. This is from a New York university that I forget the name of, Suffolk County Community College, which is awesome. We love to see community colleges basically putting themselves out there. They are great resources, awesome ways to not have to pay university prices, at least again in the US. And I also went Googling even more to understand like what can you really do to understand whether a font is accessible. And there's this lovely person here who actually goes through a couple different fonts and describes what it means to evaluate something for accessibility. And so I'm gonna see if I can full screen this and zoom in so everybody can see it. Eventually get there. Show me the page. Will that work? No. Rude. Can I just drag it? Yes, I can. Okay, so they talk about like mirroring letters. So how D, P, Q, and D, B, Q, and P can look really similar because they are mirrored vertically and horizontally. And so you want to make sure that they have something distinct that set themselves apart in order that people who are reading quickly, have visual disabilities, have dyslexia, are able to quickly process those letters. Then you have imposter letter shapes. For those of you who are familiar with MATLAB, if you ever copy, paste, and move something into like a Word document using that same font, even just working with MATLAB, it's really hard to distinguish L from 1 in MATLAB, which is terrible accessibility. So here is another example of how some fonts differentiate between I, L, and 1. And so you can see with Poppins, like, there is no easy way to tell what's going on here. With Nunito Sans, kind of the same. There is some distinction, but like, yeah, it's a little rough. Then we have what I talked about yesterday, where letters that look the same, C and O or A and O, sometimes even the E, if they're all the same shape, it can be really hard to distinguish between them. And then somebody yesterday mentioned spacing, like just adding a space between things. That's kerning. Kerning is the space between letters. If you want to make sure basically that things are starting to merge together, that they become, a single letter or something like that. So in this instance, you can kind of see that the O's have nice shapes that give that distinct, like this is an O and only an O, even with the lines of the L next to it, to prevent it from seeming like a B or a D. I think in this case, a D really. And then you also have cap height. So this is a matter of not baselines, but cap height and ascenders. Ascenders being letters that are above the mid height. So things like T, F, L, making sure that those are distinct, potentially even at a different level than the height of other letters, also enables you. So the idea is that you're creating a unique experience per letter, which is super helpful in reading because now people can know it's not just okay, I see all these letters. That it helps them process it faster because each letter has a distinct shape to look for instead of like, I think that's an O, I think that's an E, and then kind of filling in the blanks as you read, especially when you're speed reading. So that was really cool. And then, yeah, so that was what I found yesterday. And then what we also did was I got people started on some boilerplate stuff, just set up a repo, put an index.html in, potentially set up a subdomain or a domain if they wanted, no pressure. There is no need to do that. I just did it for the niceness of the experience. And then, yeah. So let's get started then, like officially, because by now we should have plenty of people who actually want to stay, and I will occasionally mute to blow my nose because my allergies are awful today. You all have basically been watching my descent into having allergies, which is unfortunate because I never used to have allergies pre-COVID. COVID. Anyway, so I ended up doing this on my desktop. I got GitHub working. Let's go back to what we wanted to do. And then we have all the checklists pulled up and some extra tabs that I was like, I don't remember how to do this. So let's see. We have Figma. We are going to basically be following along with what I made. I am aware that you can export pieces of your Figma design straight to CSS and whatnot. We're not going to do that because I like to do things the hard way and just do it all from scratch, because that means I have complete control over what it is I'm doing. But you are welcome to follow along with me should you want to work on this website with me. Let me go ahead and clone that repo. Let me also get into what I need to be in to put it in. Git clone HTTPS. No, it doesn't do HTTPS anymore. github.com/halcyon/. I changed it from subdomain test to accessible.git. Should be our repo. Cool. And then we cd into accessible. Come on, autocomplete for me, please. That's because I didn't spell it right. Shame on me. There we go. Cool. And then we're going to open up Visual Studio Code in here, which I don't know that that'll work. Oh my god, it did. Yes, great. So we've cloned it. We have Visual Studio Code open. Let's jump to the index. So the way we'll be doing this, let me put this here, put this here. Can I close this actually? I want to just see the preview. Hide UI. There we go. Cool. So now we have our reference. Right, I reordered the headers because of the way that this ended up being laid out. Cool. So let's go ahead and get started. If you would like to see what their website currently generates as, you can go to workshop.halcyon.dev. Let me go ahead and pull that up too. Workshop.halcyon.dev. Vcode extensions. Thank you. Visual Studio Code icons extension. Icons look so much cooler. That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't use Visual Studio Code that much these days because, like I said in past sessions, I'm a PhD student and my degree it does not quite align with software engineering, which is my past degrees. So I code only 3 months of the year during my internship. The other 9 months I am doing PhD work, which is a lot less programmatic and whatnot. Cool. So we have our website. If you want to go to the repo, you can just go pull that up. Accessible because I renamed it. I typoed. Shame on me. This is our repo. So you are welcome to fork this repo to code alongside me. The CNAME you will probably have to delete because it links to my stuff and you don't want to link to my stuff. I don't believe that it will properly generate. If you're going to use a website, add your own website name. Tea break. Tea is good. Tea is life. Tea will help me survive the next hour and 45 minutes. I forgot to set my timer. Let's set it for an hour and 30 because that way we'll have a pretty good idea of how things are. So in this repo, it tells you how to set stuff up for what we're doing today. And that is the repo that I pulled up here. Let me zoom in. We don't need that for now. And we're just going to go ahead and go dump everything in. But I will also give people a minute. I am drinking lemon echinacea tea because my throat is on fire today. We love allergies. Let me know if you are following along, if you have pulled it up on your desktop. If you're not planning on coding alongside me, that's totally fine. Just let me know that you're good to go. I'm going to make sure I don't lose people as I go ahead and go through this. Spiced apple tea. I am not a fan of echinacea tea. However, it soothes the terrible throat pain. So I have no choice. Normally, I would drink like chamomile or green tea variants, or my Irish friends got me into Lyons brand black tea. All right, we have a good to go. Anyone need me to stop? That's a better question. Anyone need me to freeze or explain anything before we really jump into things, which may be a bit slow just because, again, we are doing this manually. No one wants? Can you tell me what software? We are using Visual Studio and Figma. We're just following alongside what I have. So you don't need to actually have Figma up. I don't have a link for that because I am using a free version and I am not familiar enough with Figma to understand. We are using GitHub as a way to save our work and then potentially deploy it. And then whatever your search browser is, because we'll be Googling some stuff along the way. I don't always remember all the nuances of HTML, CSS, etc. So I always just go Google what I'm missing. So hopefully that answers that question. Resource would you advise for those to lose? Resources for someone to use to learn how to design in Figma. So I just learned how to use Figma yesterday. Really just jump in. But if you're not familiar with design software, so I have prior experience in Adobe, Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, etc. So that was like a big shortcut for me. If you're not familiar with Adobe, then Figma actually has tutorials to get you started. They have a 4-part series. And that is something that I had pulled up in case my Adobe skills did not transfer over. So I would highly recommend following tutorials. I also watched a YouTube video, just like a quick 2x speed, like what is Figma? How do I use it? What can I do with it? And then one of the other MLHers, Ellie, I think on day 2, streamed designing a mobile app. So I watched a bit of her stream as well to kind of get an idea of what are the tips, tricks, etc. Seems like it was pretty easy to drag images in, etc. So I would recommend that. Cool. Any other questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Can everyone see this text okay? Right now it looks pretty blurry for me as I'm previewing stuff on the stream. But I also understand that quality is not always amazing. Flutter. I can tell you about the fellowship, but I can't tell you what would get you in. The fellowship is basically an alternative internship. We're actually not using Flutter for this. I read a book. I personally am not a fan of mobile development. I find it exhausting. So I am not the best person to ask about Flutter, but it is the most popular thing to use if you're doing Android and iOS, from what I understand. As far as MLH Fellowship goes, generally you want a code sample that shows that you are able to not just copy a tutorial, but expand beyond that tutorial, or even create your own solutions to things that either are competitive in that they are better than what's out there, or solve a known problem about existing competitors, or show that you are willing to learn anything and everything you'd like to. So that would be my only comments in that regard. It seems like there aren't too many issues, if any, with viewing this, so let's go ahead and get started. We only have about an hour and 25, and I really want to make sure that we get to at least getting this first section done, potentially even getting into the drop downs, ideally. I do also want to get to the organizers because we'll be practicing what we've been talking about for the last 2 sessions, namely in using alt text, ARIA when you need it, and generally making sure that your website is accessible. So with this boilerplate that I already pulled up, it already gives us some of the base structure. We have the HTML header, we have the document type, we have a header section that always comes before the body. We have a body. What we don't have actually is the footer. Let's go ahead and add the footer. I believe that comes after the body generally. We can double check that later. Within the body, we have a main section. This is HTML5. I actually was raised in HTML4. So there are new things that have come about that I'm aware of. namely that we, instead of using an unordered list for, say, a navigation on top, we now use nav. As for whether that goes in the body or not, let me go Google that. Nav HTML nav tag. And this is usually how I go about learning things, catching myself up as I just go and take a look at W3 schools. So it looks like here they have this navigation link. They tell me where it's going. That's awesome. I want to see whether it is in a header or it's in the body. Not necessarily ARIA label. Nav header. Doesn't tell me. Body or header. All right, so it goes in the body. Header, nav, nav's navigational bar, blah, 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 nav. Structure and order to use, HTML5, blah, 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 blah. None of these are useful except for this image. Nice. I appreciate that this is useful. So we have the header, we have a nav, we have a section. This is all... Oh, you have this. Okay, so you have the head, you have the body. So we don't have a header yet. We have the nav. Okay. Tell me where the footer goes yet that we're learning about this. Perhaps the footer is also in the body. Means I was wrong. Since the footer is visible piece, it should go within the body. Alrighty, good to know. So let's go move header into this, and let's go move footer into that. Cool. Bring Figma back up. If you are already familiar with HTML, you can go ahead and race on ahead. I will try and keep Figma up as much as possible, and you all can make your own adjustments as you'd like. Header. But we want nav. We'll put this in there. So we have list item accessible, which is our title, except this is not a navigational portion. So perhaps this actually goes here. Let's name, I'll leave that in the comments right now as a come back to fix. And then we will copy paste this. Normally list items are enclosed in unordered lists, but because we're doing nav, I believe we should be fine. I could be wrong. I will Google that after, or if someone wants to correct me in chat, go right ahead. Remember, I am out of date, so I welcome feedback. Then we have FAQ. And then in the main, we no longer have welcome to my website, but accessible. And then we have, let's make this a header 3 because this is not nearly as important. Coming to a computer near you. And then we're going to have a button, which will say register. And we're going to put these in a div because we are sectioning off our items. Oops. And then let's just tab these over. These don't need to be so far out, actually. And we're going to start another div, and that will be our info session. Nav in the header, body is fine. Neat. Good to know. But based on the general understanding that body is for anything that's going to be visible on the page, we're going to keep it inside the body, as that will organize our things. So we have header 2, new header 1. Let's do header 1. We'll double check on whether or not that's reasonable. We don't need to have that actually on a new line. Info. And then make it a paragraph. I did not. Oh, I needed P for paragraph. Lorem ipsum. I'm not typing all that. Now we're going to copy this. Wow, I am not doing great. My nose is not happy. So we have FAQs. Ah, that's right. I forgot to switch this. So we have to move this because that design is out of date below info. And let's see, info FAQ. We have sponsors. And within sponsors, we actually will not have paragraph items. We will have images likely. So we're going to leave that as header 1 for now. And then we have organizers, and we also have to remove that out because we will not have paragraph items. So normally if we were using React, a lot of this actually could be duplicated and made so much easier, but I chose to do bare bones because I wanted to make sure that I understood things all over again before we jump into anything React related for, say, a future Global Hack Week, or even just making a separate branch to show you a React version of it in order to properly, or I was taught in school that in order to properly understand the libraries and the things that you're using out there, it's actually really good to do the bare bones original, like vanilla versions of things, because then you know what's going on behind the scenes while you are using those things. And so if you find that things are not working the way you intended, you know where to go and how to fix things in order to make it work for you. Cool. So there is a cheat sheet way to interact with this. If you do not have a domain set up, and even if we were to push these things, that's not what I wanted. I want the full path. Let's say I pushed everything. It would take a while to propagate. So we are not going to wait for that. We're just going to go ahead and access the website directly from our browser. So what I did there was I right-clicked on, I'm going to zoom in for everybody's sanity. I right-clicked on the Visual Studio Code tab to get the actual path, and then I pasted it into my Chrome window, just because I wanted to see, okay, I've got some stuff already plugged in. What does it kind of currently look like? Is that something we can already start to fix the CSS for? Probably, but do I want more content in? Yes, I do, because it's easier to work with content than it is to just start doing CSS things, because what works now may not work later once you add more content in. So we'll come back to this page periodically to see things before we go ahead and push items. I really don't like pushing terribly frequently, although that's a bad habit. Like in this instance, we're just putting content in. So let me go ahead and copy this. The way that I generated all this lorem ipsum stuff is I just went to a generator. I'm missing an S on the heading. Heading. Answers, FAQs, info, hex. I am missing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so lorem ipsum. Let's go ahead and paste that in. I'm not having it auto wrap for now because I'm lazy. And then we want some FAQs. So our FAQs will actually not be paragraphs, but more list items. We're going to make it an unordered list, which I'm pretty sure is just OL. And then we're going to make list items. And then we're going to copy this text. And we're going to go ahead and duplicate that. I know there's a shortcut in Visual Studio Code, but I don't remember it right now. And it's faster for me to just paste things. And then we're going to add some content that we're going to have be hidden eventually. But for now, once again, we are just letting it exist. What happened? I typoed. That's okay. Cool. We now have our unordered list. We have something that will come beneath a list item once that dropdown is going to be expanded. With bare bones HTML, you can't actually do a dropdown. It'll be the responsibility of CSS to do so. Cool, that's a neat thing. So when you are using VS Code, there's a way to create a live server if you don't have a domain, and it'll output the page on your default browser with live updates. If you're used to using React or another JavaScript framework, they actually, as long as you're using NPM or Yarn, there's a way that you can automatically create a server to do the same thing. We are obviously not doing that. We're doing bare bones, old school stuff, which frankly is my bread and butter. I love doing old school things. But I'm weird, so. Cool. So we have sponsors. So the way that typically the Sunhacks website goes is we actually have a div for every type of like category of sponsors. So in this instance, we have 3 layers of sponsors. And within them we'll obviously have like their own logo, etc., and whatnot that's going on. So we're spacing out stuff for that, even though it will not be visible when we do the HTML stuff. There is some default CSS involved typically with like list items and headers. There's a way to remove all of that actually. We are not going to be changing the default settings. I believe with divs, they will not render in any way, shape, or form. So there's no way to tell what they look like, how big they are, etc. Now, for organizers, we are going to have a nice grid thing going on here, but those will be images. So we're going to have image. That's not it. Image. Oh, that's right, because usually it's a single line. So some things you don't really need to, how do I put this? Some HTML tags don't need a closing instance. So image, for example, is one of them. Simply because you're going to be referencing a link anyway, whether it's a local file or an HTML link, web page, to serve what the image might be. You don't actually need to give it the distinct thing like so. Like this, it's not letting me complete it because it's not normal. People don't usually do that. You'll find the same thing actually with links. So A tags, I believe. Cool. Okay, so we have image. We're going to have sets of 3. The question then remains, do we want to put them in a table? Do we want to put them in divs? And that is something we will Google about what best practice is to do, what to do for that in terms of best practice. But for now, we're going to space it out on our side by having 3 sets of 3. And then our footer is going to be paragraph, mean with love from Global Hack Week. And we're also going to need some social media links. So those will probably be images as well, with links within them. There's a way to do nested, nested, what's it called? Tags, Facebook, and we'll get icons later. I'm just not feeling like adding those just yet. There is a fun way that you can actually reference links within the CSS too. We're not going to do that today, but in case you didn't know that, you can do that. There are multiple ways to inject images within a website, whether it's through the HTML, referencing another web page or a file that's local to the current like folder structure that you have, or through the CSS. So it's often how you do backgrounds actually, if you wanted to do an image background for your website. Cool. So we have added a lot more things. Let's go ahead and go see what it looks like. Probably not much has changed. Lots of things that don't wrap. But like we have some basics. So as you saw, there are no divs visible between sponsors and organizers. And that's just because divs are not typically rendered unless there's content within them that's going to be text, images, etc. But because they're empty, they're there. They're just not consisting of anything. They're not null, but they are empty. Cool. So we are sitting pretty on that. Let's go ahead and pull back up the Figma and scroll back to the top to make sure we got most of the content that we wanted. So we have accessible info, FAQ based on the header up here. Sponsors. Ooh, I flipped that. That's okay. I like sponsors being first and organizers last. The thing we're missing is the MLH tag. We're going to go rip that from a website right now, actually. Last time I checked, madhacks.io had the MLH banner. Inspect. I'm going to go to this. Look, they already have all the stuff we could possibly need. Copy element. Figma. Actually, where did they put it? Nope, I want this. where did you put this? You put this as an aref. Oh, there's more to it. I derped. I'm gonna copy this whole thing. And this is inside the body. Cool. Let's go back here. I'm just gonna put that at the top. And we're gonna zoom back. I wanna see how this renders, so let's go ahead. There we go. We have the MLH white banner already good to go. Cool. And now we're getting to things I don't remember. So navbar, HTML examples. So let's see. W3 schools, try it yourself. Cool. So they have a bunch of arefs instead. Makes sense, but we're doing inline navigation links with that header. And I can't remember how to do that either. So inline navigation links, HTML. Horizontal navigation links. This is CSS. I want to jump to ID. Is that it actually? HTML head style, nav, background color. This is inlines. This is before that. Navigation links by default, blah, 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 blah. Perhaps it's these tags actually. Internal navigation links. I can internal link within the same web page. Here we go. There we go. Yes, we got to use IDs and make them links. Okay, cool. So let's go switch that up on our, we don't need this right now. We need Figma. Let's go change these. Control F, replace. Do it within our selection. There's a way to do this. Place, enter. Match case, match whole word. Let's do this within this again. Control I. And we're going to replace LI with A. Go ahead and replace those. There's a way you can do just on your selection. But I forgot. And what was the example that we were using? I don't want Sigwin. My keyboard, for those that saw it, is not. My keyboard doesn't have keys labeled in any way, so I typo a lot. And shortcuts are also a bit of a fumble finger. I'm generally in the right area. Oh, actually, these aren't even using nav. That's okay. We'll come back. So we know that we're going to need a reference, and we know that we are using IDs. So we're going to name it hashtag for ID or pound if you're familiar with that. That's actually what I'm familiar with, but the current generation does not label it that way. And we're going to actually, this should be a page up. So we'll leave this for now. That will not have a reference. It may even be that we don't actually have a reference here and make this just a paragraph, but let's go ahead and copy this. I need all of that space. And then we want info. I can type FAQ and sponsors and organizers. Generally, it's advised that if you have similar things to use classes, that's great for CSS. But in this case, because we are referencing in not inline, but in the same web page links, IDs are great for jumping around. They don't always work depending on the browser that you're using, though. Edge, I'm looking at you, that may have changed in the last few years. I just don't use Edge for obvious reasons. So we also then need to make sure that we are linking these properly. Div ID, I see. IDs can be any types. Good to know. They are indeed very nice. So with that, since we don't need to worry about it, this is info. This is fact. This is sponsors. And this is organizers. Does that match what we have? Yes. Awesome. And then as far as making it a horizontal thing, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so here's actually an explanation. So when you are setting targets, you create a link. You can provide a direct link to a web page, and then you have the section ID that you're using. This is absolutely correct. You should be using a mix of ID and classes, wherever it is that you can repeat information or just stuff. So like a great example would be coming back to this site. We would probably use a class for this drop-down setup. For sponsors, organizers definitely, because there's a lot of repeat information. Classes will help with that. But when you have things that are unique, which is what an ID is for, that's when you'd use IDs. Alrighty. So we're still doing pretty good. We haven't added our logo. Actually, let me export. Copy, paste as SVG. I like using SVGs. The reason I'm exporting it as an SVG is SVGs are really nice for scalability. Images can get pixelated depending on if they are scaled upward quite a bit. And if you copied it from something that's exceptionally small, you lose data because you have to extrapolate the information as you blow up the image, which is not always fun. So SVGs are super nice because they scale with you so long as there is simple dimensions to it. I don't actually expect our clouds to expand very well. Whoops. Close, close, paste. There we go. Now we have our logo. We're getting there. Go back to our website. Nobody, see, I don't use, and yet it still keeps putting it back. There's our page. There it is. Just make it our own window. We don't need that. Refresh. Let's see how it renders. It renders so big. It's so nice. Oh, hey, look. Our links. Can we jump to it? Yes, we can jump to our stuff. I love that. That makes me really happy. Cool. Now I'm getting motivated at least. Well, I was motivated to begin with, but not feeling great makes it really hard to be excited. Okay. We're skipping that part. We have our logo. We have our header. We have this. These are in a div. I'm gonna name this class equals screen, and I will explain why inevitably when I stop typoing. Bus. We're gonna was it screen, and then we're gonna name all of those sections screen. I don't know this is actually gonna work the way I want it to, but we're gonna try. I didn't copy it right, did I? There we go. Okay. Cool. I didn't save, did I? No, I did. Right. Then we have sponsors. Let's make this class is equal to sponsor, but we're going to have IDs to indicate tier 1 here. And this is for advance of the CSS that we'll be working on. What am I going to name this? Second tier. And this one will also be class equals sponsor equals third tier. Alrighty. We'll come back to this. I'm still debating table versus auto formatting. So there are websites / frameworks out there. Sorry. There are frameworks out there that are supposed to make life a lot easier, especially when you're going to be doing spacing of things. Bootstrap is the most commonly recommended one. We're not using it yet because I haven't gotten frustrated yet. I've heard of Tailwind CSS, but frankly, if I'm going to use Tailwind, I'm just going to do CSS by hand at that point with the way that it's set up. I don't have a positive opinion from the brief interaction I had with it last night when I was Googling and watching YouTube videos to make sure I was prepared for today. I think I'd rather just set myself on fire and use CSS instead. Anyway, Bootstrap is super convenient. When I was doing React stuff, the UI library that I really liked was Material UI, but it is made for React. So we can't actually use it for this if we're going to continue with the bare bones work that I wanted to do. What happened here? Image ID. Is this a duplicate? This is not a duplicate. I will not make changes to that. Okay. Let's play with CSS now. So now let's go back here. We're going to make a new file. We're going to call it style.css. And what else are we going to do? I want to make this in a double window. It's going to be super cramped. That was terrible. Right, so we have screen as a class. We have, what else do we have? We have IDs, so we have sponsors as one too. That's sponsors. Where's it sponsor? Oh, you always copy paste your stuff. Why is that so long? What happened here? What is this? What? What happened? What happened? Oh my god, what is this? What is this? This is the SCG. Awkward. Interesting. Today I learned that SVG would be very, very long. Makes sense though. We should switch that to PNG. We'll come back to that one. We're gonna come back to that. We're sponsor instead. And then we have top tier. We have second tier. And then we have third tier. And I'm mostly just setting these up for when we are adjusting things. What else? List items. There's a way you can do the bullet points to color them and make them triangles. Screen button. We're going to do that. We have an item that we're just going to fill with later. And then we have headers 1 through 3. We also have the font. This is also a screen. And then we have all of those links within nav. So that's nav A. We want to edit all of those environs, instances, and then we also have header, which is above it. Depending on how we style things, that order may change. And we have main. All right. Let's go ahead and go Google more things. We don't need that. We're not coming to that yet. Don't need that yet. We're gonna go ahead and go Google things. I think it's like what am I doing? I'm changing the nav bar. HTML, CSS. That should be using nav. Let's go back to that. Right. The style, none. Image. I have hrefs. I guess we could name that just hashtag. They still put it in an unordered list, even though it's already within nav. Curious. Show me the CSS. Height. That is actually very useful. We don't have a background image, but we do need to figure out what our height will be. We'll use that as a temporary, and we do have font family. What font were we using? This one is. Show me the font. Show UI Tahoma. Hide UI. CSS font. I want Tahoma. Great font family. And then we're doing an empty one for everything. So we're going to use Tahoma as our first one, our backup as Times New Roman. If someone does not happen to have the Tahoma font on their computer, it will default to Times New Roman. And I want it to be everything. I think I can just use star. And it will do, yeah, there we go. Right. Let's go pull up our web page. Let's see what it does. No. It didn't do it. Because I didn't import the CSS. Smart. Let's go back to that. Where is it? Starter template. I want to import my style sheet. Go back here, get it in. That's in the header. Just put it beneath there. That's in the same folder, so it should be fine. Let's go back here. There we go. Now it's working with the fonts that we want. Header is obnoxiously big, though. That's far too big. So let's go ahead and reduce that to 25. There we go. And then let's zoom back in. Right, we also want to color the background. What was our colors again? Show UI, Control/. Good to know. Background color. Go. Hey, pretty colors. And then our background. Oh, that's right. It's a gradient. There's a way to do that in CSS that I forgot. Gradient CSS. There we go. There we go. Background image, and that will be our main. We want it from direction top to bottom is default. So we actually don't need that. Then we can just type in the colors that we wanted. So let's go back to Figma, and we're going to type in this one is this. And then we have this green. There we go. And then we have super green, yellow, something. Back up. And then I want to see how it works. If it works, hey, we have our gradient. Oh, we're doing so good so far. Looks ugly, but it'll be better. CSS is a magical time as it slowly comes together. The style none. Ooh, can't I do something like with percent ink? Then I want the map to take up 80% of the previous box, so it's like 80%. I wonder what that does. It's not going to show me anything. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. Was it that did that? No, it was this. All right, we're not doing that way. That's fine. Oh, no. This is just the default margins of a div. Padding 0. That should knock that out. There we go. Oh, and then we want to hide the scroll bar. Scroll bar hide CSS. This is a default thing that I do all the time. There we go. Overflow. This is in the body. Where's body? I guess this should be here. That way it's always consistent. And then let's go ahead. There we go. Uh-oh. I wanted it hidden, but I want to still use it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Keep functionality. Here we go. That stuff. Actually, let's not paste that in yet. That is example of kit scroll bar. Display none. These are using. Oh, they must have labeled. What do they label? How did you label it? Show me what you did. Where did you make example? You labeled that it. Okay. We will not do that. We will simply do body, which means just to test to make sure that worked as intended. It didn't because I left that in. There we go. Now it's back to normal. Okay, so since this all works, we can now port this out of this section. And then, oh, I see. Okay, those can go there, and that's fine. So we don't need, but we do need this one because this is WebKit. This is for Chrome. Is that what it was? It was for hide scroll bar for Chrome. We'll keep that comment. Hopefully we don't accidentally delete it. Nobody uses Opera anymore. Is Opera even alive anymore? Oh my god, it still exists. Okay. Today I learned. I don't know who uses it though. Okay, so we did scroll bar things. That's fine. We're still working on the body. We have an arbitrary header. Our register button needs work. Our FAQs need to be converted into drop downs. What happened with nav A? Is it commas that turn it into what I'm trying to do? No. Right. What else here? Since these are A's, we're gonna actually turn this into header. No, we're not. Nav bar. Header one. What does header one look like in this? I'm curious. Just for giggles. Not that big. Confusing. We'll come back to that problem. I don't feel like solving it right now. What else can we do that's easy to set up? We did our gradient, we did the header. Oh, we need our footer. There's header. Our header and footer should actually be the same. I like that idea. Now we have a header and a footer. Nice little sandwich. I don't want it to be that tall. Let's do 13. Getting there. Getting there. I think text should be center. Text align, center. Everything should be center until I say otherwise. Perfect. Getting there. Nav AR. I want to give more space, so let's do pet. Margin is the one on the inside, padding is the one on the outside. I want to add padding. And I want to add left and right 5 VW, and then padding right also will be the same. Save. Let's see what happens. Okay, kind of getting some spacing. I also want padding on the top because I removed that when I did my general remove all of the original stuff. What is the height? 13 VH. Start with that for now. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to somewhat margin. What? I didn't do that right. We'll come back to that. Button. I want to change the color. Background color will be the yellow of our header and footer. It would help if I stopped typoing so hard. Okay, we also want rounded corners and to add more space. So let's give it a margin all around. Let's see what auto does. I forget. I didn't use auto right, did I? Auto. That doesn't seem right. Giving it arbitrary numbers just to see what happens. Okay, I wanted padding. There we go. But also border radius. What did I use here? What's the radius? I used 15. What is their measurement? All right, CSS button radius. Pixels. There we go. I also don't want a border. Border color, none. We're just going to make it the same color. I think it's stroke, actually, that would have made it. Oh. Oh, why is... No. No. What? What is this? What is this shadow? Oh yeah, it was border none. Okay, let's do border none. What happened? What's that drop shadow doing? There we go. Okay. It's like, what happened? They have background color, border color is white, padding, text align center. We already have everything centered, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Display inline block. We'll leave it like that too. Font size margin. We don't need margin yet. I don't think we need any of those. Those are fine. I will change the size of stuff later. Let me also reduce the padding on this because this is excessive. Still too big, to be honest. We'll come back to that. Oh, right. Screen should also be updated. Height should be 100 VH. Lots of spacing. There we go. Header should not be that high. Still, actually, yeah, no, it shouldn't be that high. Let's go change header to even smaller. Let's go with 6. I like 6. Okay, now we're kind of getting somewhere. Let me go hide this UI again. Okay. Now we have nicer things. The text is very much not readable, but we're getting there. We keep a drop shadow at the header, so let's just go through this. How to drop shadow, perhaps? Drop shadow. Not searchable. Drop shadow, CSS, CSS shadow effects, box shadow. Box. Oh, okay. Show me. We're gonna learn about it, sure. We did learn about it. Box shadow. I only want it on the header though, so we're gonna make our own thing. Box shadow. And we're gonna make it 2 pixels because that's what they did. And we're gonna do it all around, so we're gonna leave it as that because I don't think it's gonna make us ask for anything else. That is too small. Did I not save? I did save. Fine. I'll use an extreme amount so I can just see what it looks like. Still nothing. All right. Do that again. No. Shadow the text in elements. Box shadow applies shadow to text. Simplest horizontal shadow 2 by 2. I didn't give it a color. What color? So if I give it the same color, let's do something ridiculous just to see what it looks like. This may actually be the wrong color to use because that will not show up against our current gradient. This should. Nope. No drop shadow yet. Oh. Maybe that will do it. No, still not. Alrighty. Back to Google. Why does this not work? Indian web docs should be fine. Alrighty. They do box shadow 10 by 10 by 10 red. Okay. Box shadow offset XY. These are all positive, so Y is not working. Around an element's frames. Third length value. Larger the value, bigger the blur. What's going on? Okay, that worked. Let's work it backward. I don't need the blue. That should give us just that. If it's gonna be like that, then let's just change the color. this, if it's the same thing, should just extend it and should not do anything different. Okay, cool. And then as far as drop shadow goes, show you I really should be using this shortcut. Let me make a brand new rectangle. And then I want whatever this color is. This. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. And then I want a blur. So they said, X offset, Y offset, and blur all are 0. Okay, but I don't want an offset of 0. There we go. Offset, offset color. Offset, offset blur color. Okay, so that's why they were using 0 there. Let's make this 15 pixels. Hey, there we go. Now it's looking better. Shorten that. Now we're getting there. This is probably a lot smaller. Can we do... Let's make this also... I usually use view height. Okay, because EM and they're the same. Reality is they're the same. I want half that. I forget. Can I do... I don't think I can. I can't. Cool. All right, we have our drop shadow. We have our logo. We don't have text size yet. Our minimum text size is going to be 40 point, but we want it to scale with the website. Scalable text. It says based on the size of the container. Fitting text to a container, viewpoint percentage, which is what I've been using. Font size. It's probably going to be a terrible idea, but we're going to do it anyway. EW. I want to see what happens. Oh. People can read that now. Yay. All right. All right. We're sitting pretty good so far. Now is a good time to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll get into probably doing the drop down work because I do want to get to that, and then the organizer photos. And then we'll maybe, if we have still some time left, to clean up. Cool. So yeah, 5-minute break. I'll be back, and we'll get into the meat of what we wanted to do because we've done a lot of the main coloring. It doesn't look pretty yet, but we're gonna get there. Okay. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff now. I just moved the images people uploaded for the honor organizers into our folder. So let's go ahead and go do that. Oh my gosh, this is so long. This is why I didn't want things wrapping. We're gonna go all the way to the bottom. Wonderful. Cool. So we now have an images folder, which I added on the back end. And we are going to go ahead and get started adding those in. So we have a source to our images. So if you are referencing a website, for example, you would put the website, but in this case, we're referencing our internal folder. So organizer _C. And we're going to go ahead and copy that and paste. Copy it properly and then paste. And we're going to use this temporarily. I know I have 10 of y'all who posted things plus me. So we're going to duplicate that. I think it's D. No. I tried. We'll start a new section. That's 11. How many responses did I get? About 10 responses. And then I had to add me because I am working on this too. Give organizer A. Actually, I kind of want to see how this looks before I go ahead and add everybody else's in. Oh, they didn't ref. It's because of Windows. I forgot. Let's see. I always forget. Windows is a bit of a bane in my existence for this. Come on. Why aren't you working? I have my folder. I have saved it. Image source. Oh. You know what I missed? File ending. Did I use the right file ending? No. Shame on me. All right. There we go. Let's go add those rest in now. Let's see. Control C, Control find. This whole thing. All right. Ah, yes. Success. I appreciate this meme. All right, let's go change it to everybody else's now. Let's see. I have organizer A. I have E. B is PNG. Yeah, we're not consistent with your file types. ABC. And that one is also PNG. And we have D, which is PNG. E is JPEG. F is JPEG. G, and I haven't added the alt text just yet. But that is what we will be practicing with this, as well as using ARIA labels. I have an extra A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Ah, I remember. One of those pictures was not safe for work, unfortunately. Alrighty, let's see all of our organizers now. Lots of organizers. So these are all the pictures I had everybody post in their survey responses. So that way they could be represented on our imaginary hackathon website, because y'all have stuck through my 3 sessions, or 2, or 1, or however many you've stuck through. Now let's get these formatted better. We are also missing alt text. So alt text is actually super easy on a website, because you just say alt equals and then whatever you're gonna type. So now we get to type woman laptop. Our alt text. Jeremy, the left-facing snail. What was B? Woman throwing spaghetti in a forest. What's this one? This is, if we were to be descriptive, this is a box of Timbits. This is of spherical donut holes, branded as Tim Hortons Timbits. Timbits. Butts. And alt. This is Macintosh 2. Apple Macintosh 2? I forget. We have woman with hoops and afro held up by a bandana in black and white. And so you'll notice I'm being very descriptive because if I were to not have these images rendered, we would want someone to still be able to read what the picture is. Or in the case of someone who is unable to visually process things, we want them to understand what the picture looks like. So we kind of have to be descriptive. A sculpture. I don't know what this is. A man with a curly beard. I don't know what this is. This is probably some famous thing. I unfortunately am not versed in sculptures. Astronaut. Suit with black starry background. And let's go ahead and adjust that. And then we have her green puppet dog from, I forgot the name. Invader Zim. That took a minute. That took a minute. Oh no. I love the turkey scene. It made my family and I cry laughing so much when we were watching it. A man covered in metal armor and a green hooded cape with fur detailing. Also known as comic book villain Dr. Doom. Thank you. I forget. I actually did not read a lot of comic books as a kid, and that makes me very sad because I missed out on a whole lot of culture. I do actually, I'm fairly aware of like Marvel and such, but DC is hard. So everybody has alt text. It was that simple. But we're not done yet. Obviously, these pictures are large and in the way and inconvenient. So we will be working on making the size a lot better. I don't want to use a table. I want to use divs. So we're going to use divs. Well, technically it's a table. But I don't have to write all the table data and table. I don't want to do that. Alrighty. We will figure this out. So I'm going to put 3 images in a div. And I'm going to put another 3 images in another div. Flexbox! Did you know I've actually done a lot of HTML, CSS development, and I still don't know how to use Flexbox? What a great opportunity to learn right now. Thank you for that idea. Okay. And then we're going to put this in its own div too. Cool. So we now have 3 divs. And within these divs, we will do Flexbox things. How do Flexbox? Flexbox how to. Complete guide to Flexbox. Flexbox is indeed hard sometimes. As in, that is why I've generally avoided it all this time, because I got intimidated. So we're doing it now. It's that simple. Oh. Okay. What did we name? Oh, we didn't name these. Let's call this class equals organizer group. Organizer group. We're gonna camel case this. Flexbox Froggy. I will try that out. I'm going to display that for everybody else who does not often have. I love fun ways to learn things. That's how I learned Vim. There's a Vim game out there. Well, I did it for a little bit and then I got bored because I actually already knew a lot of things about Vim at the time. I challenged myself to write a whole like data processing script in Vim when I was at work a long time ago. And then my coworkers are like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" And I'm like, "Because I know it." And they're like, "That's cool. Did you go any faster than if you used an IDE?" And I'm like, "I have no idea. So use what's efficient, not what's cool." Though I have to admit, it's very useful knowing Vim. I do enjoy it a lot. And there's so much more I don't know. So we're gonna go to organizer group. Organize. Let me copy that. Copy paste your class names. Just copy paste them. It doesn't make sense not to. Because otherwise you're gonna have things that don't work and you don't understand why because you didn't copy it. Display flex. I want to know what happens when I just do that. Oh no. Well, it's in rows all right, but I need to go fix my images. Hang on. Header. I like to do things in alphabetical order, but sometimes you can't do that. With 100% and height 100%. That should fix the scaling issues. There we go. Scale fix. Yes, I do need to add a gap, but I am not there yet. Patience. I must first understand Flexbox. Properties for the children. Flex items laid out in source order. No, we don't need that. Direction. It's already doing that for me. Default left to right. Flex wrap. Good for responsive development, but we're not doing that yet. We probably don't have time for that today. Because we are also running out of time. Justify content. I want space between. But maybe space around. Space evenly makes sense, actually. Justify content space evenly. Justify content space evenly. What does that do? Okay, we're getting better. Getting better. Flex end. Flex start, flex end. We don't need that. Align items. I would want it to be centered. Or do I want them on top? We're gonna do center. Let's see what it looks like. Center. Yes, I approve. Stretch, no. Align content. Space between. We did space around. Space evenly. Could we also do? Is it already doing it? It's kind of doing it. We can add it in manually. Multi-line flexbox. We're not doing multi-line. I already split it up for us. Gaps. This is what we were talking about. Gap. 2 rem. All right, let's see what that does. Okay. Let's go reset this zoom. Oh, Lord. Things are bad. Things are very bad. We need to fix sizing. We need to go make some bounding boxes. I skipped that part because I was a bad developer. I was not. We gotta fix it. Oh, people aren't gonna. We gotta fix this. What did I say for view height? That's why it's scaling. Got it. Do we have paragraphs in here? I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, we do. Okay. Too small. We'll fix that later. Okay, that's better. Drop downs we do need to work on. Sponsors we're skipping. Organizers needs to be restrained. We need to set the boundaries of everything that it comes before it. I think that should start the. Something happened. What happened? Yes, margins and padding. My worst enemy. I don't want to deal with this. Let's put it in body. That should probably start. There we go. That's a little more reasonable. Okay, we've set the outer boundaries now. Let's make screen smaller than that. Screen width should be, let's do, I'm curious. It didn't work. What am I Googling? Bounding box CSS. Set the size of the main container of the flex. Yes, that is what I am attempting to currently do because I did not do that for any of the preceding things, which is why we were in this mess. This is where CSS gets hard. These are bordered boxes. Universal box spacing. What's going on here? With border. Let's go back to the website. What's going on? Accessible. This needs to scale with the header size. And I'm forgetting how to fix that. What if we do auto? Or is it supposed to be auto? I don't know that that's actually going to work. I stand corrected. Cool. I guess that could have also been a flex box. Font size. Yeah, I agree with you. It's gonna have to definitely be, though. I set a class, but I need to figure out what class it is I goofed on. And that's what's lending to this. I'm also trying to kind of go through and fix some of this stuff. So this is fine. This needs more spacing, but we'll come back to that. This is why I don't like Flexbox. Everything does not need to be a Flexbox. These are the drop downs, and I want. We're coming back to that. That's right. I need to finish where I was at. Organizers. So we have screen. Where's screen? Screen. Yes, that might be it. Order. Order is important. With 95 PW. And then what else is containing it? So we have the class, we have the header, and then we have the organizer group. And since it's a flex box, I don't think I can restrict the size it's currently in. But that should potentially not fix it. What happened? Oh, I see. What's these lines? What happened? What's this? Oh, this is the footer. That was a bad idea. And then we need to also restrict the sizes of these photos. Oops. Let's also restrict the size of the photos. Let's say max height of images. Where's image? Max height is going to have to be a fourth of the view height. Let's see how that impacts things. Sanity. These go before it, because that should fix the scaling. Why is this not scaling? Image, CSS, scaling, responsive web designs. No, let's go to W3 schools. Okay, auto. There we go. Let's do that. Oops. I never remember what it's supposed to be. Margins are also supposed to be auto. Safety, sanity. Okay, now that we can actually see the photos. And why is the footer not, what happened? Footer, why is this not? Oh, could it be because it's outside the main? Doesn't make sense, but no. That's annoying. Okay. Well, the pictures are at least fixed-ish. Let's make that 13 because the sponsor should be that big. There we go. Okay, it's supposed to be left-leaning. Let's go back to this Flexbox, justify content. I also need to justify items. What happens when I do left? Ooh. No, that was a bad idea. We're not. Oh, I see what happens. I'll come back to that. Point is, we did the alt text, we did some sizing. It has at least something functional-ish. I do want to get to the drop-down menu before we finish because that gets into ARIA labels. And the reason why we have only just now started using ARIA labels is if you are using good design, you actually don't need ARIA labels. But in the case of drop-down menus, they are not like official HTML things. They're things that we have to add JavaScript in to do it. So because of that, that's when we actually need ARIA labels. So we need something to read out that a dropdown is collapsed or expanded, that it's a button that we're interacting with for that dropdown, and so on. So let me also share a YouTube video because we're probably going to run out of time before I finish it. But that is what I was referencing and will be referencing for implementing it here. Let me go grab that. He also shows how to use a screen reader Chrome extension, which is super helpful if you're trying to just see, like, how does it read out as? Is it reading the way I want it to? And he also teaches you how not to do a nav bar while still getting the screen reader to work as intended, even though it's not the correct thing, because HTML5 has nav bar. So you won't even need an ARIA label for that. Apparently people find it cool. Would I find it cool? Okay, freeze frame. Anyone who says that something is going to be cool is inherently not cool because you've called it cool. If it was truly cool, it would be indicative. That is my one hill to die on. Because people are like, am I cool? And it's like, no, because you had to ask. Okay, sass aside, let's get into making the dropdown. Again, I shared a, what's it called? I shared a YouTube link, and I am basically using it as a cheat sheet because I've already typed up some of the code that I was going to reference because I knew that I would kind of run out of time. Generally, you don't want your JavaScript to be on your HTML file, but we're doing it anyway. And I did something wrong already. Why do you hate this? This script was pasted from this guy's YouTube video that I shared. Something is missing a curly bracket. That's what happened. And I pulled a lot of what he already did to showcase ARIA labels. And so I encourage that you look at it on your own time because he does a really good job explaining it all and showcasing how to use this extension to test things, which is super helpful already. Cool. So we are going to actually transform our list into buttons. because that is, so when you use buttons, so in purposeful good design, you want a drop-down menu to consist of buttons. And even though it is an unordered list item, so we're gonna have that nesting I was talking about earlier, have that text in there. And then we also want to repeat that. We're gonna just copy this whole thing. And we're gonna paste it for all these because we're transforming them like I said. So the only one that will actually have content will be this last one because again, we're showing the example of it. Eventually this will be hidden. So we still need, oops. And we need this text again. Cool. So what we now need is going to be, in the YouTube video, they use a span, which is this neat little like break the HTML, but not really kind of thing. The idea is that it seems like they're using this to create a class called Expander Down. This one I'm definitely just copying off of because I'm still understanding it-ish. But I wanted to at least show like somebody else has done this. Why reinvent the wheel where we can just take what someone else has done and format it to what we need? This is in the button, expander down. What else did I do? Close span, close button. What else do we need? Let's see. How will this render once I save it? Cool, cool, cool. We're getting there. So we have some CSS stuff because we already said that buttons should be colored yellow. Actually, I want to have the ordered list have triangles. This is like a style thing. Ordered list style types. Yes, I want triangles. I guess we'll do squares. Sad. Where is what is this under? This is ordered list item. Is this under? Oh, this is under that. Okay. Yes, then ordered list. And the reason I keep checking where things are is because I want to make sure that hierarchy is kept in my CSS file, that something isn't accidentally being overwritten, which is important. And I want to have list style type. I'm going to make it square. Wait, did it have triangle? Did it have triangle? No. No. I'm just square. Fine. I wanted to be creative, but no. It's not going to show me, is it? Hang on. Square. What if I want to change the color of the square? I think that's subclass stuff. Yeah, okay. And then I also want to change that. This is list item button. List item button. We're gonna not give a background color. None. What is it I'm looking for? I'm looking to make alpha 0. Background color opacity. GBA 000 4. Hey, now we got it. Now it's back to normal. And then I want to change the list style type color. Change list style type colors. CSS. Change the bullet color of a list. There we go. It's this fancy stuff that I forget the name of. Very useful. I am terribly not used to it. Before add content. Oh, what's the Unicode for a triangle? Unicode for triangle. Geometric shapes. Neat. That's useful. Slash 2022. Where's the slash? What are they using? CSS Unicode for a bullet. Right, I need to change the color to be yellow. And then content triangle black, right, small. HTML. Maybe it's that one. Let's try that out. Content slash. Oh my god, I need a colon. For goodness sake. Okay. I keep hitting the backspace. That's why, because my keyboard is funky. What was I doing? I was looking for a slash. There we go. Okay. That. There we go. That. Don't laugh at me. This is what happens when you have an unmarked keyboard that has reduced key sets. That's not right. There we go. Cool. Back to what I was doing. Display inline block. That is also needed. Needed for space. I'll take their suggestion. And I know we are running out of time, which is margin left. -1 EM. Okay. Let's see how we're doing there. It disappeared. Okay. 0. Okay, well that's a problem to be fixed at a later point. I want to get to the important part, which is what happened there actually. Why is there no li button? Li. What? How did that miss? Huh? What happened? Oh no, I went too fast and now things got broken. Okay, close that. And then we open that and we also end it. Why is it doing this to me? Okay. Oh, it's because it's wrapping. Oh, I see. I see what happened. That took a minute. Okay. We're back. We're back. All is good. I don't need this part anymore then. List item has the button. Oh, I wanted the span. Okay. This can go. And then that can go. And that should be fine. So I'm following along with a tutorial. There we go. Things are fixed. Okay. So there's a tutorial YouTube video that I shared with everybody that actually like explains better than what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to implement it for the first time. Hence we're doing full chaos for today as well. The goal that I wanted to do was I wanted to ensure that we got to setting up a dropdown, which is not something found in HTML5. And then using ARIA labels, which basically accommodates anything that's not already made for accessibility purposes. You want to make sure that someone can interact with it and use it and understand that there is a drop down there instead of not having the information needed. So in the video that I shared, it talks about how when you use a nav bar, you don't need to use ARIA labels because a screen reader will already recognize it as a nav bar. thanks to HTML5. However, drop-down menus are, of course, something of custom creation requiring JavaScript. So in order to ensure that someone, when they are using a screen reader, can interact with it, if they don't have ARIA labels, it will just read as unordered list, list item 1, blah, 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 blah. Unordered list, list item 2, blah, 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 blah. And it won't actually tell you that it's a dropdown, which isn't very helpful. And so you want people to be able to interact with it such that they can access the dropdown should they want to. This is the problem with wanting to obfuscate information or remove information from a page to make it cleaner design. This is what you give up, is the accessibility of readability unless you code for it. So making it a button will mean that when you are interacting with it with a screen reader, it'll be unordered list, list item 1, button. And so when it's reading through, it'll keep saying list item 1, button, list item 2, button, etc. But that's not helpful because if it's just a button, it's like, okay, well, what happens? So that's why you have to add in the class names and some other information to basically say that then it'll read as list item 1, button, collapsed. This lets somebody know that it's a drop-down menu that is collapsed currently, and now they understand what the information is telling them, both from the screen reader and also from the ARIA labels, and then, of course, the content itself. So the next stage would be, of course, if they wanted to expand it, they would hit Enter or Tab or whatever the appropriate action is. Then, when it reads, it will say, List Item 1, button, expanded. And now you can jump into the information that's in the dropdown, because that information will otherwise be hidden by display none, which is in the JavaScript down below. So what this is doing is ensuring that as someone interacts with that button to expand or collapse a dropdown, that the ARIA label will update with it, such that anyone navigating with a screen reader will still be able to read what's going on. So we didn't get a chance to finish, which I'm a little sad about. I'm probably going to keep working on this on my own time. You all can probably find the repo, or which I shared earlier. So you're welcome to fork it, continue programming along. I'm going to push this code, so if you wanted to fork again with what we have done in this session and you want to carry it forward, you are welcome to. So let me go ahead and go do that. In the meantime, any questions, comments, concerns? I missed a command. I'm pretty sure it's just... There we go. Let me also make sure I get... No questions, no concerns, no comments. Any requests for next Global Hack Week on what I could possibly stream about? And in the meantime, remember to check in while I go pull up Global Hack Week schedule. April is APIs. So with April APIs, we're learning about APIs. That's actually pretty exciting. You could make one. I still need to finish making mine. I have a number of them. Oh, we're actually at time, so I'm going to cut the broadcast then. thank you for coming, for joining for the last 3 sessions. If you were here all 3 sessions, I hope you got to take at least one thing to learn during these session streams, because I know I sure have definitely learned a lot from y'all. And hopefully I see you at next Global Hack Week. Thank you.